Welcome back to Mr. DuPage's classroom. This lesson is for my Algebra 1 class. It is 4-2-4-3, solving one-step equation or inequalities. This basically, what we're going to do today is start solving inequalities. We're going to graph them. How you want to treat an inequality, for the most part, is the same way that you would treat an equation. Okay, so I'm going to do all the same steps. There's only going to be one little thing that we have to take care or watch for. All right, so let's go right into example A. I'm going to go ahead and just add 6 to both sides. So M would be greater than 2. To graph this, I'm just going to make 3 points. I'll make it 1, 2, and 3. Because that is greater than, we learned this the last lesson. Since it is greater than and not greater than or equal to, this will be an open circle. And since my variable is on the left, I can follow my arrow. All right, on to B, I can just add 3, 5x would be less than 8, divide by 5, so x is less than 8 over 5. Let's think about 8 over 5 and what that actually means. Well, 5 over 5 would be 1, 10 over 5 would be 2. So this is going to fall directly in between 1 and 2, so that would be our 8 over 5. Again, because this is not less than or equal to, I'm just going to make an open circle and follow my arrow because my variable is on the left. C, our variable is not on the left, so I want to flip my entire inequality. Remember that the arrow is pointing at our negative 12 plus p right now, so I want to make sure that my arrow continues to point at the negative 12 plus p. Keep my signs exactly the same. I'm going to add 12. So p would be less than or equal to 7. So this would be 6, 7, and 8. This is less than or equal to, so it will be a closed circle at 7. I can follow my arrow because my p is on the left, and we are done. Now, this is the one little thing we need to watch for when we are solving inequalities. If you multiply or divide by a negative number on both sides of the inequality while solving, you must switch the inequality's sign. All right. Well, first one, letter A, I already have to flip everything because my variable is on the right. Again, we want to make sure that the arrow is pointing the same direction or to the same side. In this case, it's pointed at the negative 2, so I need to make sure that it stays pointed at the negative 2. I'm going to multiply by 2, multiply by 2. Did I, excuse me, excuse me, did I multiply by a negative number? Well, I have a negative number that I multiply to, but I did not multiply by the negative number to get it away from my y. So I do not, in this case, have to switch my sign. This would be negative 3, negative 2, negative 1. The reason why the negative 3 is to the left of the negative 2, even though 3 is larger than 2, negative 3 is actually a smaller number than 2. And again, because it's a greater than or equal to, I'm going to go ahead and make a closed circle, follow my sign because my y is on the left. Now, part B, I'm going to multiply by negative 4, correct? Well, here I multiplied by the negative 4. Okay, because I multiplied by the negative 4, I need to go ahead and switch my sign. 2 times negative 4 is going to get me negative 8. This would be negative 9, negative 8, negative 7. It is greater than or equal to, so I will have a closed circle at negative 8, and I can follow my arrow because my variable is on the left. Part C, I have 5t. I'm going to go ahead and just divide by 5. Did not divide by a negative, so my sign can stay the same. And I'll have 3, so it would be 2, 3, and 4. I can follow my arrow because my variable is on the left. I will have an open circle because my sign is just greater than. And there is our graph. All right. Why don't you go ahead and try D, E, and F. Give it a shot. Pause the video. Let's see how you can do. Part D, I'm going to divide by negative 3. Well, because I divide by negative 3, then what's going to happen is I need to flip my sign. Negative 21 divided by negative 3 is positive 7. I would have 6, 7, and 8. Because it is just less than, I'm going to have an open circle at 7, follow my arrow because my variable's on the left, and I am good. Part E, I'm going to divide by 2. I did not divide by a negative 2, so in this case my sign will stay the same. Negative 12 divided by positive 2 would be negative 6, so I would have negative 7, negative 6, negative 5. It is less than or equal to, so it will be a closed circle at negative 6, and I can follow my sign because my variable's on the left. Part F, I'm going to multiply by a negative 3 to get that negative 3 out of my denominator. That means I multiply by negative 3. Because I multiplied by a negative number, I need to switch my sign. Negative 18 times negative 3 would be positive 54. If I divide by 2, x would be less than or equal to 27. That means 26, 27, and 28 will go on my number line. Because it is less than or equal to, my circle will be closed. I can follow my sign because my x is on the left, and we are good. Moving on to the backside. Here we have some application problems or story problems. We need to define a variable, write an inequality, and solve. Your brother has $2,000 saved for vacation. Let's think about that just for a second. If he has $2,000 saved for vacation, can he spend any more than the $2,000 he has saved? No, he cannot. So what's going to happen is my sign's going to say less than or equal to that $2,000. His airplane ticket is $637, which means that is part of what he can spend from the $2,000. So I'm going to put that on the other side of my inequality. Write and solve an inequality to find out how much he can spend on everything else. My variable in this case, I'm going to make E for everything else. Well, what would I add to the 637 in order to get to my 2,000? I would add the everything else, right? Between the $637 he's already spent on the plane ticket and everything else that he spends, he needs to stay at $2,000 or below. So here I would just go ahead and subtract by 637. So E would be less than or equal to $1,363. So he has $1,363 to spend, but he cannot go over the $1,363. He could spend less than that, he could spend exactly that, but he could not go over. Okay? You have an allowance of $15 per week. You're in a bowling league that costs $6.50 each week, and you save at least $5 each week. Write and solve an inequality to show how much you have left to spend. I'm going to use L as my left to spend and my variable. Okay. Well, let's talk about all of our expenses for the week because they need to add up to $15 or less. I'm going to spend $6.50 at the bowling alley. I'm going to save $5, so that's an expense, and I'm going to have some amount of money left, right? Between those three things, I have to add up to less than or equal to my $15. Well, now I can just go ahead and combine like terms. So that'd be $650 plus 5, which is $1150, plus L is less than or equal to 15. I can subtract the $1150. That would leave me with L is less than or equal to the $3.50. So I have $3.50 or less to spend the rest of the week. Okay? Your family budgets $160 to spend on fuel for a trip. How many times can they fill a car's gas tank if it costs $25 each time? Well, let's think about what our variable could be here. It could be filling the gas tank or tanks of gas, right? So I'm just going to make T my tanks of gas. How do I know how much total I'm spending on tanks of gas if it costs $25 each time? Well, it would be 25 times T, right? The amount of money that we have budgeted or saved for just gas is the $160. Can I spend more than the $160? No, I can't. So my 25 times T needs to be less than or equal to the $160. I'm going to go ahead and divide by 25. That would leave me with T is less than or equal to 6.4. Well, 6.4, the 0.4 is not filling my tank. That would be 40% of a tank. The question says, how many times can they fill the car's gas tank? So can I actually, do I have enough money to fill my gas tank to 7 full times? I do not, because this says less than or equal. So full gas tanks would be, oh, I'm sorry, 6 tanks. All right. Let's look at the last one. Suppose you earn $7 per hour working part-time at a dry cleaner. Write and solve an inequality to find how many full hours you must work to be able to buy a $195 iPod. Well, in this case, I want to have at least $195, right? If I say at least $195, do I want to have less than $195? No, I don't. So my inequality is going to be greater than or equal to. Let's figure out what our variable needs to be. It would be hours worked, because our total pay would be $7 per hour. So $7 times the number of hours needs to be greater than or equal to the 195. I would divide by 7, divide by 7. That would give me the hours need to be greater than or equal to 27.86 hours. The thing is about this is it says find how many full hours you must work to be able to afford the iPod. Well, it needs to be greater than or equal to the 27.86. So I could not work just 27 hours. I would have to work more or equal to 28 full hours in order to afford the iPod. All right. Why don't you go ahead and try example 7A and B on your own. Give it a shot. Let's see how you can do. Come on back when you're done, and we will go through them. All right, A. I'm going to combine like terms. Would be my first step. So it would be A plus 12 minus 3 is 9. That would be less than negative 20, right? I'm going to go ahead and subtract my 9. So A. Now, let's think about our sign real quick. I have a negative here. I have a negative right here. But did I multiply or divide by that negative? I did not. All that means is subtraction. So my sign will stay the same. And I would have A is less than negative 29. Part B, I have 3 over 4 plus x is greater than or equal to 13 over 2. Well, because that is 3 over 4 plus x, I know at some point I'm going to subtract by 3 over 4. So I want to change my 13 over 2. I need to have like denominators with that 3 over 4, right? Because I'm going to have 13 over 2 minus the 3 over 4, right? So I need to make 13 over 2. I need to make that 2, 4. I would multiply by 2 over 2, which is 26 over 4. So I could really rewrite this as 3 over 4 plus x is greater than or equal to 26 over 4. Now I could subtract my 3 over 4 and subtract my 3 over 4. That would leave me with x is greater than or equal to 26 minus 3 is 23. I don't do anything with my denominators, so it would be 23 over 4. That is the end of our video. What you really need to concentrate on from this video is the fact that when we are solving inequalities, we can treat them just like if they were equations. But we need to remember that if I divide or multiply by a negative number, I need to flip my sign. Well, thank you very much for watching the video. If you have any questions, make sure you come in with them tomorrow, and have a great day.